Hello everyone, today we are looking at Take on Mars. This is a bit of an older game. The 10th anniversary is coming up here in August of this year, and I just wanted to take a look at this game again for for the sake of seeing how it aged. This game was by Bohemia Interactive and is probably one of the best Mars simulation games out there, with the exception of a couple of bugs, of course. But I've gone through and modded the game and changed a couple things. This game has full modding support, as you can see here. You've got the mods and add-ons that the community has made, as well as my fix myself I made. Getting started, you have the Command in Robotics training, which I've already done, of course, since I've been playing this game since October 22nd, 2013. And then you have the scenarios menu here, which down here you've got all the community content which the player base has made. It's declined a bit in the last couple of years, especially with the game no longer being supported by Bohemia, but it's still really fun to play every now and then. So we're gonna go ahead and start a campaign. And I just messed around with it earlier, it auto-saved. So the campaign has two chapters. You have the robotics chapter, which was introduced with the game when it first came out, and then the manned chapter came out when the game was released back in 2017. So we're going to go ahead and start the robotics campaign. And the intro sequence for it takes you back to the first landing on Mars by the Russians, the Mars 3 lander, which only operated for 15 seconds, but we're going to go ahead and deploy the Mars 3 lander here, and then the Prop M rover, which was the first rover on Mars. Interestingly enough, the Prop M rover actually had skis instead of wheels, which is rather interesting. And we're going to go ahead and run our instrument too. So we got to run this for 15 seconds. Which is how long the vehicle actually lasted for. And then we're gonna skip ahead several years to the present day.
Welcome to the space program. We are in the mission control room, from where you will send vehicles to the surface of Mars on various scientific missions. First off, I'm
gonna go ahead and skip that, because I'm the one giving the tutorials. Anyways, when you first start the campaign, you'll be given between time selection. So if you're a hardcore space fan, using real time might actually be really interesting, because it simulates Mars time. So basically, time passes when you're offline. However, you can't use the time skip feature up here, and you'll have to wait several hours. Now, I've never used this, but it sounds kind of interesting. Unfortunately, I'm not that type of gamer, so we're going to go ahead and use game time, which simulates, both simulate Mars time, but time doesn't pass offline when you're using the use game time, but you can time skip as much as you want. So we're going to go ahead and use game time. So up here, you'll have a couple of different options. You have technology research, encyclopedia, which alternatively you can select by clicking this. The encyclopedia is where you'll unlock real information about Mars as you progress through chapter 1 of the campaign. Right now it's empty because we don't know anything about Mars. We already went over that. Technology research is something that we'll research as we go along. So we have a probe right now, which is the only thing we have researched, as well as a basic battery and very basic cameras. So in order to proceed with our technology research, we're going to go ahead and click on the small lander here, and then you can see these bars here which show us what areas we need to research in different tech trees. So we're going to go ahead and research a lander chassis, which will give us our base and skeleton, internal electronics, and some of these are for other vehicles as well, which will help us later on. Automatic navigation software, because probes land pretty easily. You need different stuff for that, for a lander, because its landing is more complex. heat-resistant ceramics for the heat shield in back shell, atmospheric entry aerodynamics for the back shell and the heat shield again. And then over here, that's it for that one. Let's go ahead and grab an environmental analysis station. We need a low power socket system here, and the chromatographic sensor software. Sorry, I can't talk today. And then we need this to analyze the gas. And then over here, gas particle detection systems. And I think there was one more. I forgot. I guess not. Alright. So there's that. And then we also need a low gain antenna as well. The probe has a basic antenna, but we're going to need an external antenna for the other one. And I believe that is everything for now. Yeah, okay. That's good enough. So, the next step is... let's see. So now that we have our technology under... I apologize for my phone. I need to change that notification sound. Anyways, for the... Okay, getting back on topic. Ignore that Star Trek computer talk. We have to look at the objective screen here. So, completing these objectives will help you to progress through the campaign. So, we first need to perform basic terrain mapping of Mars, because you can't really land vehicles without knowing where you're actually going to land. So, we need to collect data on the Martian surface, and that is where these probes that we already have access to come from. So, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the map. I'm just going to skip this. So, currently, we have a couple of locations on Mars. Gusev Crater was DLC added later on, so you don't really have any. So we should do a time skip. So we're gonna go ahead and skip an hour. I love the little sequence here. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's go back onto the map here. Gale Crater is now in the daylight, so we should be able to land here successfully. So we've got 3 different areas here on the map. Each of these is a exploration zone that we can go to, mission area. So we're going to go ahead and do this one first. And now at this point, you can select your vehicle's name. I'm just going to leave it as default. And then you can also build your own probe if you want to, or you can just use a basic prefab. And then this will tell you the vehicle details of that said vehicle. And then this will tell you the mission details right here. So as you can see, there's only one exploration zone, and that is it. It's worth 10,000. So we're gonna go ahead and do this, and I'm going to construct my own vehicle. And this will take us to the technology lab, which alternatively we can access via our main area as well in mission control. So we've got this probe here, which as I said earlier, it's the default vehicle you get when you start out. So this is the most basic vehicle you can have, and when you first start out, you've just got the base skeleton and landing system. So we've got to add some equipment here. So I'm going to go with the wide-angle camera viewing, or camera, and then we need a power source, as it says here, so we're going to go ahead and use our basic battery. So with that complete, our vehicle is now ready, and we're going to launch. And then here you can select your landing zone. I'm not going to mess with this, because it's already pretty good. So we're just going to go ahead and launch. Alright. So we are now coming down out of the Martian atmosphere. I wish they had a rocket sequence where you could see a launch, but Unfortunately, the game's a little simpler than that. I mean, it's still fun though. Plus, it would be kind of annoying to have to wait like an actual year for your vehicles to get to Mars. Okay, and we've hit the exploration zone. With all major scientific value complete, the mission can be considered accomplished. Well done. We've lost our unlocked our first key entries in our Mars Encyclopedia. The Martian year is 1.88 Earth years, or 686.98 Earth days. Each Mars day is 39 minutes and 35 seconds longer than an Earth day. The orbital... I can't speak today. The orbital eccentricity of Mars, the amount of its orbit around the Sun deviates from a perfect circle, is the second most eccentric in the solar system. At its closest point, Mars is 206,655,215 kilometers, or 128,409,597,000. I said that wrong. Miles from the Sun at its furthest point, which is known as the aphelion. Yeah, I'm not gonna even try everything today. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. Anyways, our mission's complete, and you can see that the mission is now gone on the mini-map here. So we're gonna go ahead and disconnect from this vehicle, because we don't need it anymore. And you can see that it's now up here. Our last view is now appeared on the console down here, so if we wanted to, we could click this and then jump back into our vehicle, but because we have no more use for it at this moment, we're going to go ahead and proceed with our next vehicle. So again, it's literally just the same thing. We're going to construct the vehicle and launch it. The campaign's a little boring at first, because you don't have much to do. It's just shooting vehicles at Mars, basically, and completing the science tasks. It'll get better when our new technology is researched for the small lander. Got a little... There appears to be a crater down there. This game uses real terrain data, so most of this stuff here is actually as I said, this game uses real terrain data, and it actually the terrain is as close to real life as possible, so certain areas of Mars in this game are one-to-one with real life. So if you were actually walking on Mars, this is what you might actually see. So, alright, with this mission complete, we are going back to mission control yet again. Crater. Oh, and you do have some filters here. The hazards here are rocks, terrain color, elevation, and elevation for the black and white as well. Let's build a new probe. Boom. Let's go. Descending through the Martian atmosphere. So this is the interface here, which I should have gone over earlier. Obviously you can see the cameras here, and you have the instruments here, which you can activate them from this panel. This panel down shows you your location status if you have the environmental monitoring station, which we currently don't. We can show you the temperature and air pressure. And while I'm thinking about this, I'm going to switch this from metric to imperial because I'm an American and we use that system. It actually got one of our spacecraft at Mars burned up in the atmosphere one time because scientists confused beep with meters or something, or miles and kilometers, I can't remember. And then over here we have our power status. So this is the current power level, and then if our power level drops too far, the chemical batteries will take over and try to charge it up. Obviously we currently have no charge rate, and our vehicle drain rate is how much we're currently draining, of course, which is not too much, but this vehicle will eventually run out of power soon, which is, in which case it'll no longer be usable, but yeah. And with that mission complete, we're going to go back to mission control, and I'm going to run a quick save. Let's see here. And because Gale Creator is the only one in daytime right now, let's go ahead and skip about, how about 4 hours? Yeah, let's try that. So we're gonna go ahead and time skip. I'm just gonna skip through that. And then we have our first weather warning for Gale Crater. In this game there are dust storms. So that can be a bit of a problem sometimes if you take your vehicles there during storms, but we don't have anything to worry about right now. And we have all these research tabs completed, so we do have our small lander now, I believe. Technology tree. Yes, we have our small lander. So we're gonna go ahead and head back to the Martian map. We still aren't quite on the daytime side yet, so let's go ahead and skip another. Let's do 8 hours this time. Another storm warning for Gale Crater. No major issues here. Alright, so now everything else is in the daytime right now, which is good for us. So let's go ahead and do this crater. Don't even get me started on how to say that. Just checking over the mission details here, because some of them are a little different. Like this one, this requires an environmental analysis station, so you don't want to send a probe without one. So let's just go ahead and finish our basic terrain mapping and construct a new one. Or new probe. This area always interested me, because, as I said, it's based off of real terrain data. There's a lot of dunes here at this place. And I'm wondering if it used to be a Martian ocean. There could be the potential for that. Although, no Mars missions have actually landed in this area, but so humans don't know for sure. So yeah, it's definitely a little colder here. That's where our power treats so far. And we have successfully landed. I'm afraid there's not much to see here, though. Alright. I've got enough time for one more mission. Let's see. Construct the probe. Wide angle. Use the battery. And boom. Let's launch. Oops. Simple probe. Nothing to get too excited about. As basic as they come.